Look around you. Every single person you meet is wearing a carefully crafted mask. They smile, they praise, and they pretend to care. But beneath the surface, a hidden disease is driving their every move: narcissism. Most people think a narcissist is just someone who takes too many photos or loves attention. They are wrong. It is a deep, psychological trap, and you are likely surrounded by them right now. In this deep dive masterclass of Chapter 2, we are stripping away the illusions. You are about to discover the exact psychological blueprint of how narcissists operate in the shadows. You will learn the hidden spectrum between healthy self-love and toxic, dangerous self-absorption. And most importantly, you will unlock the ultimate strategic weapon: how to decode their false reality and turn their own games against them before they manipulate you. If you want to stay blind to the social games being played around you, turn this off. But if you want to gain the ultimate power to read people like an open book and master the art of deep empathy, listen closely. Welcome back to the Unedited Script. Let's dismantle Chapter 2. Chapter 2. The Law of Narcissism. Transforming self-love into empathy. Have you ever walked into a crowded room and felt like the entire gravity of the space was revolving around just one specific person? Sometimes that person is you. Other times it's a colleague, a friend, or a complete stranger. But there is a strange illusion when it comes to narcissism. It rarely feels like a mirror. Instead, it feels like a powerful, blinding spotlight. A light that makes whoever it shines upon feel like the absolute center of the universe. The ultimate tragedy of narcissism is that it aggressively demands appreciation, but the desperate, needy behavior behind it eventually exhausts everyone around you, leaving you completely isolated. To understand this law, we must accept a fundamental truth about human nature. We are all to some degree narcissists. It is a deeply ingrained survival mechanism. From the moment we are born, our brains are wired to focus on our own survival, our own comfort, and our own desires. When we are infants, this self-centered focus is complete. We cry, and the world must answer. We hurt, and it is the only crisis that matters. But as we grow older, reality forces us to realize that we are not the only characters in the story. We enter a massive world filled with billions of other individuals, each operating with their own egos, their own fears, and their own desperate desire to be seen. This creates a severe psychological challenge. How do we balance our deep, primal need for self-love with the reality that the world does not revolve around us? Most people handle this tension by building a carefully curated image of themselves, a social mask. We want people to see us as competent, successful, kind, or uniquely talented. In the modern world, this mask is perfectly reflected in our social media profiles. We post our highlights, our achievements, and our perfect moments, waiting anxiously for the world to validate our existence through likes, views, and comments. But there is a massive difference between healthy self-regard and deep, toxic narcissism. A person with healthy self-esteem has a solid internal anchor. They know their worth, they accept their flaws, and because they feel secure within themselves, they possess the mental space to look outward and genuinely care about others. But a toxic narcissist has no internal anchor. Beneath their loud confidence and grand exterior lies a deeply fragile, hollow core. They are completely dependent on a continuous stream of external validation just to feel alive. And when that stream dries up, their entire world crumbles into a state of aggressive insecurity. When a person falls into the trap of deep toxic narcissism, their entire interaction with reality becomes transactional. They no longer see people as independent individuals with their own complex emotions, struggles, and dreams. Instead, they view others merely as extensions of themselves, tools or instruments meant to serve their ego, provide attention, or validate their superiority. This creates a highly dangerous dynamic in relationships. A toxic narcissist will initially charm you, drawing you into their spotlight with intense affection and grand promises. But the moment you express an independent thought, voice a criticism, or demand that your own emotional needs be met, the vibe instantly shifts. Suddenly you are no longer a partner, you are a threat. Because their internal core is so fragile, they cannot handle the discomfort of not being validated. They will immediately manipulate the narrative, play the victim, or use emotional guilt to force you back into submission. The true tragedy of this behavior is that it always backfires. People eventually grow exhausted by the endless neediness and the emotional drainage. One by one, friends drift away, partners walk out, and colleagues distance themselves. The narcissist is left trapped in the very nightmare they were trying to escape, complete and utter isolation. And yet their ego will still play its favorite magic trick, convincing them that they aren't the problem. The world is simply too envious or incapable of understanding their greatness. To break free from this self-destructive cycle, we must learn to activate the ultimate human superpower: deep empathy. Empathy is not just about being nice or feeling sorry for someone. True empathy is a strategic, conscious skill. It is the ability to completely step out of your own ego, lay down your personal biases, and step directly into the inner world of another human being. It means watching a person's behavior, their subtle facial expressions, the tone of their voice, their sudden deflections, and asking yourself, what are they actually feeling right now? What is the unspoken story behind their actions? When you shift your focus from how do I look to them to what are they going through, your entire psychological frequency changes. You stop projecting your own insecurities onto every conversation. You unlock a rare magnetic charisma that cannot be faked. Because in a world where everyone is desperately screaming to be noticed, the person who genuinely takes the time to listen, understand, and validate others becomes the most powerful and respected presence in the room. To truly master the skill of empathy, we have to understand that it doesn't happen automatically. It requires consistent, deliberate practice. Most people operate on what is called passive empathy. They only feel for others when a tragedy is obvious or when it directly hits close to home. But elite psychological mastery demands active empathy. Active empathy means treating every human interaction like an unexplored territory. When you speak to a colleague, a client, or a family member, you must train your mind to look past the surface level of their words. Humans are masters of disguise. We rarely say exactly what we mean. When someone cracks a sharp, sarcastic joke, or when they suddenly become overly defensive about a minor critique, passive observers just see attitude, but an active empath sees the hidden distress signal. They realize that sarcasm is often a shield for deep-seated insecurity, and defensiveness is almost always a frantic attempt to protect a bruised ego. The moment you start reading people at this level, you gain a massive strategic advantage. You stop reacting to their emotional outbursts. If a business partner gets angry during a negotiation, your ego won't rise to match their hostility. Instead, you remain perfectly calm, analyzing the root cause of their panic. You see that their anger isn't an attack on you, it's a desperate reaction to a perceived loss of control. By addressing their underlying need for security rather than fighting their outward hostility, you smoothly de-escalate the tension and steer the situation exactly where you want it to go. But the ultimate test of this law is turning this empathetic lens inward, directly onto yourself. You must develop the radical honesty to catch your own narcissistic tendencies before they sabotage your life. Ask yourself the hard questions. Am I listening to this person because I genuinely want to understand them? Or am I just waiting for my turn to speak and talk about myself? Am I helping this friend out of pure generosity? Or do I secretly just want the praise and validation that comes with being a savior? Catching these subtle, ego-driven motives within yourself isn't meant to make you feel guilty. It's meant to set you free. The moment you expose the secret demands of your own ego, it loses its power to control you. You stop being a slave to the desperate need for attention, and you finally unlock the freedom to build deep, unbreakable connections that stand the test of time. As you deepen your practice of active empathy, you will begin to notice that human narcissism manifests in various shapes and sizes. It is not always loud, boastful, or arrogant. In fact, one of the most dangerous forms of this trait is what psychologists call the passive-aggressive or victim narcissist. These individuals don't look for validation by flexing their power or success. Instead, they gain attention by highlighting their suffering. They position themselves as the ultimate martyr in every scenario. If a project fails, they are always the ones who were sabotaged. If a relationship ends, they were the only ones who truly cared. They use their vulnerability and wounds as a psychological weapon to manipulate you, making you feel responsible for their emotional well-being. When you encounter a victim narcissist, your passive empathy will tempt you to step in and save them. But an elite understanding of human nature warns you to step back. You must realize that their suffering is tied directly to their identity. They don't want solutions, they want an endless supply of pity and attention. By recognizing this pattern early, you protect yourself from being dragged into their emotional quicksand, allowing you to maintain clear, firm boundaries while keeping your mental peace intact. This brings us to the ultimate resolution of the law of narcissism. True confidence is never loud. It doesn't need to post its every achievement on a digital screen, and it doesn't require a room full of people to clap just to feel validated. True confidence is a quiet, unshakable certainty. It is the state of being so deeply anchored in your own self-worth, your own skills, and your own reality that you no longer need to use people as mirrors to check if you look important. When you reach this state of quiet confidence, your worldview completely opens up. You stop walking into rooms wondering, what do they think of me? And you start asking, what can I learn from them? You transition from a desperate seeker of attention into a powerful observer of reality. You become the person who listens deeply, connects authentically, and commands absolute respect without ever having to raise your voice or demand the spotlight. You step out of the fragile cage of self-obsession, and you finally inherit the keys to understanding the entire human kingdom. To bring this profound law to its absolute destination, we must realize that the shift from self-obsession to deep empathy is the ultimate evolution of a mature mind. It is the path to achieving true magnetic influence over the world around you. When you break free from the constant need to feed your own ego, you gain a level of emotional clarity that very few people ever experience. You no longer see the world as a battlefield where you must constantly defend your image or prove your superiority. Instead, the world becomes a fascinating gallery of human stories. Every person you meet, no matter how difficult, quiet, or complex they seem, becomes a living book waiting to be read. By mastering the law of narcissism, you build an internal fortress that cannot be shaken by external opinions. If someone praises you, it doesn't inflate your ego to the point of arrogance. If someone criticizes you, it doesn't shatter your self-worth or send you into a spiral of defensive rage. You remain perfectly centered, secure in who you are, while fully capable of understanding who they are. As we conclude this second chapter, remember this core truth. The spotlight of your mind was never meant to be turned inward, blinding you with self-absorption. It was meant to be turned outward, to illuminate the hidden depths of human nature, to heal broken connections, and to navigate the complexities of life with profound wisdom. Lay down your mask, step out of the mirror, and step into the incredible power of true empathy. Episode 2 now ends.